Good morning, everyone. My name is Arpita. I'm currently working as a senior instructional designer at a healthcare organization in Northern Virginia. And I was also the finalist at 2021 AECT NATO Design and Development Competition. So before I delve into today's presentation, I would just like to thank you all for coming to this session. Now, my topic is Liberatory Design Thinking. And according to the National Equity Project, any system that produces inequities, injustices, inequalities is often a result of design. And as an instructional designer, I was part of a team that implemented the Liberatory Design Thinking framework at a nonprofit organization. And today I will just share this design case and my experiences while implementing the framework. Now, what is liberatory design thinking? So I know that some of you might be familiar with the topic, but others are not. So let me just give you a brief overview. Liberatory design thinking is a framework that challenges systemic inequities, centering around equity and building upon the popularly human-centered design thinking framework. So the design thinking framework consists of 5 phases, that is empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. And the liberatory design thinking adds 2 more phases to it, that is notice and reflect. In the context of learning experience design, these phases help instructional designers and any learning professional to create inclusive and empowering learning experiences. And by analyzing and challenging systems of power, educators and learning professionals can identify what interventions and strategies are needed to add equity to the learning experience design. Let me just talk about the design challenge. So the nonprofit in this design case experienced high turnover during COVID-19. And the exit survey revealed that there was a lack of sense of belonging, resource availability, and team member inclusion were major concerns that led to high exit rates. So to improve the team member experience, the organization did prioritize hiring more diverse team members along with other DEI initiatives. And the learning and development team was asked to redesign the onboarding learning experience. So the author, that's me, who was a sole instructional designer on this project, introduced the liberatory design thinking framework to redesign the onboarding learning program and inquired 2 significant questions. The first is, how do instructional designers implement an equity-centered framework to design learning experiences that disassemble structural inequities? And second, how might instructional designers promote effective instructions and learning strategies within the constraints and interdependencies in an existing system? The next is design decisions and outcome. So as you can see on the screen, the liberatory design thinking framework is non-linear and agile, allowing multiple simultaneous generation, presentation, and evaluation of design directions and alternatives. Multiple tools can be used to implement each phase of the framework, as you can see on the screen. And for this project, the tools were tailored and customized to fit the requirements and system constraints. So the project started with creating a project plan, keeping the liberatory design thinking framework as its core philosophy. The next decision that needed to be made to kickstart the project was deciding who's going to be in the design team. And typically, the design team in the organization consisted of instructional designers, training facilitators, content writer, graphic designer, project manager. However, to promote a more inclusive and equitable approach, representatives from team member resource groups were also invited. So these TMRG groups were basically team members in the organizations from diverse communities. For example, groups like LGBTQ plus community, people of color, people with disability, women, interfaith community, veteran community with shared life experiences. And while there was support from the leadership team to include external team members, there were some tension in the existing design team. And these tensions were due to power dynamics surrounding design decisions and overlapping of roles and responsibilities. So, after a series of discussion between the team, senior leadership, and TMRG representatives, that's the team member resource groups, it was decided that the team would be split into two sub teams, the core team and the reflection team. So the core team composed of members from the existing learning and development team with clearly defined role for each member. And the reflection team included the TMRG members who provided valuable feedback at every iteration, ensuring a more inclusive learning design. Now, here's the first two phases. It starts with noticing with empathy. This involves self-reflection exercises to notice shared values, identities, biases, power imbalances to ensure increased equity, authenticity, system priorities, and political will. And to empathize with learner needs, the team used tools such as interviews, focus group discussions, uh, observations in a non-judgmental environment to empathize with the learners. The team also created an environment of psychological safety, and there was a big support from the leadership team, which helped to provide, to get authentic feedback. And some useful tools were like getting anonymous feedback forum and encouraging honest feedback from diverse perspectives. So here is an example of a questionnaire that was prepared for notice phase. So some of them are like, who am I? Who are our learners? What do we know about our learners? How does my identity or job position position me in improving the learning experience? Do I have privileges enjoyed by others? And how does that impact the learning design? So these are some of the questions for self-reflection in the notice phase. And then these questions were for empathy phase. Like, what do my learners wish, wonder about the current onboarding learning program? And what are the core needs of the learners? What are their struggles and aspirations? So yeah, so these were two examples of the questionnaires that were prepared. So the next two phases are define and ideate. And this is all about synthesizing the data collected. The define phase develops a point of view and defines the learner needs. And tools used in this phase include using persona, empathy maps, concept maps, journey maps. And the ideate phase, on the other hand, generates solutions to the challenges. Now, here is an example of a learner persona. I don't know what happened. Yeah, so this is an example of a learner persona. And you can see there is an empathy map here, which captured all these struggles, the pain points, frustrations, needs, and goals. But sense making in the define phase opened a Pandora's box, reflecting the systemic inequities that existed. Both the core and the reflection teams struggled to wrestle with the reality that the learning program would need to be designed to accommodate multiple interests and concerns. And in this phase, while some members captured themes of cultural sensitivity, feelings of isolation, whereas other team members did not see it. So this phase was very difficult than expected, but it also allowed both the core team and the reflection team to brainstorm together, collaborate, and come to a consensus. And here is the tool that really helped in this phase that I would like to talk about is a visualization tool called Miro. And it helped to visualize all the phases, especially to understand what the learner needs were. So I just would like to show you this board that we kind of used. Yeah, so you can see there are all these phases and all the personas and the empathy maps were created and moving to all the remaining phases. So what it did was using this collaborative application allowed both the core and the reflection team to connect together and brainstorm together. And two observations that I noticed that helped in these phases were appointing a moderator during the brainstorming session and the political will of senior leadership. Now, let's go to the next phase, which is the prototype. Now, during the prototype phase, the core team designed prototypes incorporating learning principles like backward design, adult learning principles, and created storyboards, wireframes. And the reflection team, on the other hand, provided crucial feedback to co-design the learning solution at each iteration. Now, here the design team created some criteria while designing the prototypes. The first one is that the solution must address the problems, challenges, core learning goals within the larger systems in which it operates. And that's including the social, economic, political, and cultural contexts that impacted the onboarding experience of the learners. The solution must address and ensure that it aligns with the needs and values of the diverse learners, especially the marginalized and underrepresented learners. Use inclusive and accessible universal design principles when creating prototype, and including, for example, using closed captioning, good color contrast, culturally relevant images and stories, and other web content accessibility guidelines. Protocols must be maintained. And last, use co-design techniques so that multiple stakeholders can get involved, give their feedback, and testing and reflection can continue simultaneously. Now, coming to these last two stages, that is test and reflect, the test phase usually focuses on getting specific feedback about how ideas and solutions can improve, whereas the reflect phase is ongoing and it's transparent throughout the liberatory design thinking phases. So the design team made reflection a vital part of the entire program, and there was a questionnaire that was created, and I just would like to show you this. Like, as a team, does the learning experience feel equitable and inclusive? If not, why? What we can do to adjust? How might cultural norms trigger unconscious biases? What suggestions are there to improve the program? What emotional state affects the representative groups after experiencing the learning program? So, and is there any distressful emotions, and what can we do to improve it? So, overall, the impact of the framework of the learning experience is still ongoing for this project. However, I would like to share a TMRG team member who expressed her narrative feedback, and I would like to just quote her that this was the first time I felt empowered to express my point of view and my lived experiences to design a program that was meant for me and the people who represent my community. So overall, just to summarize, if you want to implement liberatory design thinking successfully, some key observations that might be helpful are to create a diverse design team, including members from diverse backgrounds, especially underrepresented members. Promote psychological safety to get honest and diverse feedback. The political will of senior leadership is crucial. Otherwise, this framework cannot be implemented. And appoint moderators who can serve as facilitators, mediators, and champions of inclusion. And finally, design solutions must be seen within a larger context of systems thinking lens. So I know that there is more that needs to be done. However, I hope this design case will give you some ideas as instructional designers and educators to create more equitable learning experience. And finally, this paper has been published in the Journal of Applied Instructional Design, and you can use the QR code to read the paper or contact me anytime if you have any questions. So that's all from my side. Thank you.
Do we have any questions?
It was brilliant. And Arpita, I would love to connect with you if you're interested in working with undergraduates. If my class takes this next semester, I do service learning and it is entrepreneurship, and I love the design thinking model. And I do add reflections. What I like about what you're doing with this model is it's built in. And so it makes my life a lot easier. It makes their life more challenging, and I'm always good for that one. But I do have to keep it in at a undergraduate. I think what you're doing is fantastic. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I just took a screenshot of the names, otherwise I'll forget.
There's a question. Can you post a link to your slide deck?
Yeah, sure. Let me share. Let me know if you can see. Thank you, everyone, for listening to me.
Well, thank you all for attending. We want to thank our presenters. Did an awesome job. And if y'all have any more questions, this will end our session.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.